Hello, my name is Anime Addiction, and welcome to another episode of Let's Analyze Death Battle. Today's episode will feature He-Man vs. Lion-O, two iconic figures from the good old 80s in which I myself had the pleasure of growing up in. Now, I am very familiar with both characters and their shows in which they came from, and yes, I've even seen their reboots back in 2003 and later on in 2012 or 13, I think, for the Thundercats. However, they really didn't compare to the originals that they had way back when. And even though I am very familiar with both these characters, as always, I'm going to let the stars of Death Battle, Boomstick and Wiz, give us the lowdown on both of these characters before I myself put in my 2 cents. And as always, if you've never seen this episode, please go to screwattack.com or their YouTube channel in order to see the original first so you don't get spoiled. And once again, guys, give us the lowdown on He-Man and Lion-O.
The glorious 80s, that odd era of big hair, keytars, and goofy muscular heroes of questionable sexual preference.
He-Man, Master of the Universe.
And Lion-O, Lord of the Thundercats.
He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle.
Let's go, Cringer. He-Man and Battle Cat are about to make an appearance.
He-Man.
Prince Adam is the pathetic, bumbling son to the royal family of Eternia.
Dumbass.
Then one day, a bird-clad sorceress gave him the secret powers of Castle Grayskull, transforming him into He-Man, the most powerful Chippendale in the universe.
Fabulous secret powers were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword and said, "By the power of Grayskull!"
Wait, that's his origin story? He just thrust his sword up and down and yelled some random shit until he turned into a near-naked superhero?
Well, more like a cheap action figure.
He-Man possesses Herculean strength, speed, durability, and a super breath which can blow over most foes. And probably a few other things, if you know what I'm saying.
The indestructible power sword is the conduit for his imbued abilities, and has some unique powers of its own.
Like any good sword, it deflects lasers, and can also do a bunch of other random stuff, like magnetize special rings, or tie people up with magic S&M.
And while he is skilled enough to throw his sword like a boomerang, he occasionally uses ranged gear, such as a grappling hook and bolas, to battle the evil of Skeletor.
But I don't know where he's keeping those things. I mean, he's pretty much new. Whoa! You'd think he'd keep it in his battle harness made of Korodite, which, by the way, further multiplies his already insane strength by 10.
That's what the sorceress fashioned this harness from. It helps add to my power.
Prince Adam is not the only one getting a power-up. He has an adopted cat, whom he saved from the jungle at a young age.
He named him Cringer, cause, well, he's a little bitch. But whenever He-Man transforms, he zaps the little pussy, turning him into the ferocious Battle Cat.
Despite Cringer's reluctance and downright refusal to do so.
He's kinda like the Michael Vick of cartoon heroes.
Oh no, my mother didn't raise any foolish children.
Granted, Battle Cat is a tremendous asset. He's so vicious, it's implied that if he doesn't transform back into Cringer, he could go on an unstoppable rampage. After all, he is half tiger, half dragon.
Gimme!
He-Man has moved mountains, reversed a tornado, ran in circles fast enough to create a vacuum,
The fuck?
and dug to the center of the planet with nothing but a broken stalactite.
The double fuck?
He even shattered Photanium, the strongest metal in his universe, when even his closest friends believed it would be too much for him.
And he traded blows with Superman. You know, that one guy who can lift entire planets and maybe killed your favorite person ever? That one.
Well, he's not that strong, but he did manage to push a moon once, or twice. But despite his miraculous strength, he is not invincible. Enough raw force can revert him back to the far more vulnerable state of Prince Adam. He also despises violence, preferring to outsmart opponents, and thus has much less physical combat experience than you'd think.
Still, he's pretty good at beating the ever-living crap out of people, no matter what planet or series he's on.
That's right, the 1990s New Adventures of He-Man is technically the same He-Man we all know, giving him much more experience.
Wait, what was that?
Shh, this is vital.
No, go back, right there!
There you go, fella. Good as new.
What? Okay, so it's broken. I guess I'll just magic it back together.
The magic of the 80s, Boomstick. The magic of the 80s.
Magic of lazy writing.
Next time you might try knocking first.
Let's get this show on the road.
As a child, Lion-O barely escaped the destruction of his home planet Thundera. His father sent him to Third Earth with 5 Thunderian nobles to uphold the royal lineage.
You know, I'm really getting tired of people ripping off Superman.
But the Kryptonian comparison stops there, as en route to Third Earth, a suspension capsule malfunction, or something it's not really explained, caused his body to age 10 years.
During that time, he grew in size, but he did not grow up.
What's going on?
Oh, we missed the cute kitty stage. Shut up, kittens are adorable.
As the newly crowned Lord of the Thundercats, Lion-O is the leader of the group and commands all of catkind.
Lion-O has power over all cats!
Against the evil forces of Mum-Ra, Lion-O was forced to mature on the battlefield. He is a quick learner, helped by his cat-like abilities and attributes.
Which means he's got superhuman agility and senses.
Right, for example, while a human's nose has 5 million odor-sensitive cells, a cat's has over 200 million. Cats can hear 5 times better, have panoramic vision, and use their whiskers like antennae to scan for trouble, meaning it's actually very unlikely for curiosity to kill a cat. Unless they're distracted by bright shiny things.
Lion-O wears a manly sports bra and wrestling shorts, and doesn't seem to own anything else. Guess someone forgot to pack, clothes for the interplanetary trip? Wardrobe aside, he wields the Sword of Omens, a pocket-sized dagger which transforms into an epic blade after the most badass battle cry ever.
Thunder! 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 Thundercats!
It's an extremely durable, double-edged blade that cuts through stone and steel with ease. He can fly, make force fields, and shoot over 15 different kinds of beams. Lightning bolts, fire blasts, and even a tractor beam which Lion-O can guide things with, which is great for when you're on the couch. Sword of Omens, bring me snacks beyond snacks. And a beer.
The sword's power stems from the gem housed in its hilt, the Eye of Thundera, a legendary jewel with limitless magical power, which its wielder can call upon even from a great distance, such as inside a black hole.
Sword of Omens, come to my hand!
It is powerful enough to hold an entire planet together and can spy on people and events across space and time.
Sword of Omens, give me sight beyond sight!
He wears the Claw Shield, an extremely durable claw glove thing, with which, in his first outing, he effortlessly punched down a tree. Hey, that's just like how I catch squirrels for supper!
The claw shield may be small, but it's proven effective against blades, blows, and lasers. As a bonus, it has 4 grappling hooks, a smoke screen, and functions as a neat little scabbard for the Sword of Omens.
But the Claw Shield can't protect him from everything.
While Lion-O is certainly quite sophisticated for an oversized 13-year-old man kitten, he is still somewhat immature and hot-blooded. Also, both Lion-O and the Eye of Thundera share a common weakness to a glowing red rock called Thundranium. Okay, I lied, there was one more Superman ripoff. While the Eye is one of the most powerful weapons ever conceived, it may also be his greatest weakness. Turns out it's the source of life for all Thundercats, so if it's destroyed, so is Lion-O. And his entire race.
I know! I'll bring it into constant danger and get disarmed a lot!
Still, Lion-O is stronger, smarter, and faster than any other Thundercat. He can pull down a spaceship attempting escape velocity and won a foot race against Chitara, who can run 120 miles per hour.
Oh, and look, he fought Superman too.
He's tough enough to survive boiling water, the molten core of the planet, and even the vacuum of space?
80s magic, Wiz. 80s lazy writing magic.
Sword of Omens, give me power beyond power!
All right, the combatants are set. Let's end this debate once and for all.
Now, those were some great introductions and pre-battle analysis, and I must say I'm feeling really nostalgic after seeing all those clips about two of my favorite characters from the 1980s. What can I say? These were two of my favorite shows while growing up, and every day I always looked forward to seeing Thundercats coming home from school or waking up on Saturday mornings to see He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. I'll admit that by today's standards, they're pretty campy, and some of their ideals and some of the feats they've done are pretty much bordering on the impossible, but hey, it was all in good fun at that point. Now, as for my 2 cents on who I think is going to win this death battle, let's start with the star of Masters of the Universe, He-Man. Now, the name He-Man pretty much says it all and pretty much describes what this character can do. And obviously, his greatest asset is being incredibly strong enough to lift mountains, change the course of rivers, or even push a moon back into orbit, as shown in the pre-battle analysis. And he has the secret identity of a bumbling prince and whatnot here, and he pretty much is never seen whenever the He-Man appears, and vice versa. Kind of familiar, like the Superman Clark Kent persona that we all know of. Now, as for his matchup against Lion-O, He-Man obviously has the super strength advantage, and he's able to apparently run faster than Lion-O if he's able to create a vacuum, and he's able to dig to the center of the planet using a stalactite and whatnot. Of course, these are completely impossible by any standards, but they seem to be going by the 80s magic, as they called it, so I'll let it go for that. Now, as for his fighting experience, well, I will admit that He-Man doesn't seem to have as much as they say you might think, but then again, this is the 1980s, in which it wasn't allowed for the main character to actually hit a guy with a punch or some such thing. The morals back then were a lot different than what we have now. As for his weaponry, well, he's got an indestructible power sword able to deflect energy bolts and whatnot, so I'm pretty sure it could match up to the Sword of Omens. And he's also got the battle harness, which multiplies his super strength by a factor of 10, and I think it might also provide some protection. Not much, mind you, since considering how much it covers his body, but some at least. And the main question I have with He-Man is Battle Cat. Now, according to Death Battle rules, you're not supposed to have outside help, and you have to question whether or not Cringer, aka Battle Cat, would be considered as outside help, considering that it would be 2 against 1 if Lion-O were to go alone without his fellow Thundercats to help him. But overall, He-Man seems to have the physical advantage against his opponent, and I think in the end that might be what will give He-Man the win. Now, as for the star of the Thundercats show, well, his name also says it all. Lion-O. In other words, like a lion, supposedly the king of all beasts. But in this case, it's Lord of all Thundercats. Now, in comparison to He-Man, Lion-O certainly doesn't have the strength advantage, and having the mind of a child in a man's body could also hinder him, because technically speaking, he wouldn't have as much experience as He-Man. And furthermore, if you've ever watched the old Thundercat show, you'll see that in just about the majority of all episodes, Lion-O always did that battle cry, send out the Thundercat signal to call on the other Thundercats for support. Now, since this will be a one-on-one death battle, he's not going to have that advantage, and will have to fend for himself against He-Man. and that by itself could be a problem. Now, he's not exactly helpless, considering he has the claw shield and the Sword of Omens, which supposedly has limitless magical power within the Eye of Thundera. It is very versatile, and it has been one of Lion-O's main weapons against evils such as Mumra and the other villains in the Thundercats show. Now, whether or not it will be enough against the power sword of He-Man remains to be seen, but there is one thing you must realize is that the Sword of Omens can and has been broken or damaged throughout the Thundercats series, the original ones anyway, and the Power Sword, on the other hand, pretty much has lived up to its indestructibility claim, and that may be the key point against Lion-O. Now, I'm not saying Lion-O is a pushover, because he's not, but the fact of the matter is, in comparison to He-Man's equipment and abilities, Lion-O's may not be as formidable, nor would it be, may or may not be effective enough against He-Man. We'll just have to wait and see about that, now won't we? Now, as to who I think is going to win this death battle, I think it's pretty obvious that the odds are pretty much favoring He-Man rather than Lion-O, and that's due to the fact that, unlike Lion-O, He-Man has more or less done a lot of his adventures mostly on his own. Yes, he does have the help of the Masters of the Universe, such as Man-at-Arms, Tila, and the others, but for the most part, he holds his own and doesn't call upon help whenever things get too much for him. Now, he will ask for assistance when he needs it, but for the most part, the final solution is usually done on his own. Usually. Now, as for Lion-O, unfortunately, in most of the show, it is shown that his hot-blooded and his immaturity can get the best of him at times. So, at the most, when things get really rough, he normally says that battle cry and then calls upon his friends in order for support. Now, in this case here, it's not going to help him since, of course, as you know, Death Battle rules say no outside help, and that is going to play against Lion-O because it's not going to be a team effort as it does with He-Man. And in the end, when all is said and done, it'll go right down to experience, and that will also favor He-Man. So, let's see if I'm right about this and start this death battle. So, Boomstick and Wiz, let's relive the 80s, shall we?
Okay, Cringer, let's try this again. This time, no whining, okay?
Oh no, not again.
By the power of Grayskull! I have
The pain! That sounds like trouble. Thunder! 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 Thundercats! Oh! Sword of Omens! Give me sight beyond sight!
All right, Battlecat. Let's go do something normally perceived as impossible.
Stop right there! You would mount that poor pussy like some sort of mule? You muscular fiend! Noble Tiger, turn on your master!
Ugh, he must have control over animals. That should keep you busy for a while.
I am Lion-O, Lord of the Thundercats, and you will pay for your animal cruelty!
I am He-Man. Back off, feline. You are clearly not equipped to... Oh.
Fight!
Surrender! You are defenseless!
I've got plenty of tricks left.
Have to clear this. There. Now where did he go?
Sword of Omens, come to me!
I heard that.
Yeah! Not so fast! Want to keep going? Looks like you're a bit tied up at the moment.
Sorry, Catman, but you won't string me along that easily. A whirlwind should blow him off course.
I think I've got a fireball! Feel the power of Thundera! Now to finish you off! Wait, where did you go? Sword of Omens, give me sight beyond sight! A mountain. Why show me this? Wait a minute. That's impossible. By Thundera! Sword of Omens, give me power beyond power! Time for the climactic finale! That's not possible!
Ha ha! You are finished!
Oh!
That gem, it's looking at me. Grayskull! Give me the strength of the castle's secrets! Well, looks like curiosity killed this cat.
K.O.
What a crushing defeat!
While He-Man had little trouble overpowering Lion-O's physique, the Eye of Thundera is easily the most dangerous weapon He-Man has ever faced, more than capable of obliterating him if given the chance.
Not only can the Power Sword deflect all Lion-O's main attacks, it's obvious He-Man is strong enough to break the Sword of Omens. Just like how the super strong and horribly named Tugmug broke it in the Thundercats show.
A moon weighs approximately 70 quintillion metric tons. The highest official amount a human being has ever lifted without support is over 260 kilograms. Even after excluding the cordite battle harness, He-Man is 10 quadrillion times stronger than the strongest man on Earth.
See, and you guys all thought you'd never see He-Man pound a pussy.
The winner is He-Man.
Remember, kids, it is very important to always get your pets spayed and neutered. Otherwise, it may lead to unstable behavior and unauthorized breeding.
I miss my balls!
Now that was one of the most nostalgic death battles I've ever seen, and I couldn't help but hum the theme song of He-Man while I was watching that. And even though poor Lionel did get pounded into the ground, and inadvertently, I guess He-Man didn't even realize that by destroying the Eye of Thundera, he had also killed the entire Thundercat race, but I guess that's par for the course. Now, there are probably some questions about this death battle that need to be answered, so let's get to them, shall we? Now, the first question is very obvious. Why didn't the Eye of Thundera destroy He-Man when it was given the chance to do so? Now, the fact of the matter is, do you remember what Boomstick and Wiz said about the Eye of Thundera?
The sword's power stems from the gem housed in its hilt, the Eye of Thundera, a legendary jewel with limitless magical power, which its wielder can call upon even from a great distance, such as inside a black hole.
Sword of Omens, come to my hand!
It is powerful enough to hold an entire planet together and can spy on people and events across space and time.
Sword of Omens, give me sight beyond sight!
Also, both Lion-O and the Eye of Thundera share a common weakness to a glowing red rock called Thundranium. Okay, I lied, there was one more Superman ripoff. While the Eye is one of the most powerful weapons ever conceived, it may also be his greatest weakness. Turns out it's the source of life for all Thundercats, so if it's destroyed, so is Lion-O. And his entire race.
That's right. The Eye of Thundera may be an extremely powerful weapon with limitless magical ability, but that does not mean it is indestructible. You saw in the clip that the sword Excalibur managed to pierce the Eye of Thundera, and just so you know, this isn't the first time that He-Man had crushed a gem-like substance with his bare hands.
He-Man! Come back! Please, He-Man! You must crush the Diamond of Disappearance.
Now, if He-Man is able to crush the so-called magical diamond of disappearance, then it would stand to reason that he would also be able to crush the Eye of Thundera with his bare hands. Furthermore, as you remember, the blast did hit him in the chest, which also hit that cordite battle harness, which I would think could have deflected a lot of the force and therefore allowed He-Man to get close enough in order to grab onto the eye and crush it with his bare hands. Now the next question is the issue of Battlecat and why he was knocked into the upper atmosphere and taken out of the fight early. Well, it's a simple enough reason. Since Lionel has power over all cats, since he took control of Battlecat, He-Man no longer had that asset to use against him, so that's why he knocked him out of the way for a while. And in any case, I suppose this was Death Battle's way of skirting the issue of no outside help. In other words, Battlecat could not help He-Man, and in this case, he could not help Lionel being under his control. Now, the final issue with this death battle is the fact that He-Man pulled off some pretty improbable and impossible feats in order to defeat Lion-O, and some people were saying that it wasn't fair. Well, just remember what we're talking about. We're talking about cartoons that were made in the 1980s, in which the impossible is kind of skirted over the fact that it's part of the shtick. I mean, it's supposed to be done impossible, beyond belief. That's how the 80s were done, and they kept that spirit in the death battle, which I liked. And all the campy banter and those one-liners and whatnot, they were all part of the same genre. So I could accept that as well. Now, this was a pretty fun death battle, and it goes without saying that I pretty much agree with the outcome and the post-battle analysis that Boomstick and Wiz did about He-Man being able to win over Lion-O and all that sort of thing. So there's really not much more to say about it here, other than the fact that it was amusing and Lion-O did go down fighting more or less, and unfortunately for him, He-Man just was able to do impossible things that even the Eye of Thundera could not overcome. So, in any case here, once again, Death Battle came out with a very amusing and quite fun episode, and I hope that you fans out there will keep on supporting Screw Attack and Death Battle. They do a very good job of analyzing and researching these characters and give us a really entertaining episode in order for us to analyze and discuss and just plain old have fun with. And I kind of wish today's cartoons had the same kind of fun factor that the 1980s had. But then again, I'm just feeling nostalgic and I'm just one of those old school kind of guys. So until then, I'll see you next time, and I hope you will all continue to support Death Battle and ScrewAttack.com, and until then, see you later.